What's up? It's Marco back on the Sage of Soccer channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the Friday and Saturday games from match week 7, I believe, of the Premier League. Man, it's a pretty good week this week. I think all the favorites won, though, so finally back to a bit of normality. So starting things off with the Friday game, you had Wolves defeat Crystal Palace 2-0, and this is a good game for Wolves. Probably the best that they've looked all season. Everybody on the team was really looking good, and they finally had a really nice first half. Started off with the new signing at left back, Ait Nori. He had a nice debut goal. All around good game by him. Also, on the other side, the fullback, Semedo, had a really nice game as well. Just honestly, everybody on Wolves was really performing. Later on, they got another goal with Podence and Neto combining, and everybody on this team was really looking good. Dendoncker and Neves, they were really controlling the midfield. Their defense of Cody, Boley, and Kilman, they were able to keep a clean sheet. Patricio didn't have much to do. Boley would have given away a penalty if it wasn't offsides, but they did, so you can't really hold that against him. I guess then, if that's the case, you can't really hold a lot of Pickford's mistakes against him, but yeah, just something. I think it was the best game of the year for Wolves so far. Just great job by them. Then for Crystal Palace, not a great result. I honestly thought that they lined up with the best team that they really could. Maybe Mitchell could have been in for Van Aanholt, but defensively, that left side was not that good. Van Aanholt and Dan really couldn't deal with the athleticism that Wolves brought, and just really weak defensive performance. Van Aanholt's first game back, this was a tough test for him. At least he didn't have to deal with Traore, but not a good game by them. I think they allowed the ball out wide too easily. All the fullbacks and wingers on Wolves, they were able to get really involved in this game, and that was a real key that I thought Crystal Palace would have to win this game, keep the game narrow, but it was getting wide too much. Wolves was able to take advantage of that, and the attack really couldn't get anything going. Wolves did a good job dealing with Zaha. That's a big thing when you're playing Crystal Palace. Batshuayi did get a goal called back for it being offsides, but it was offside, so you can't really say much about that. And not much. Luke Milivojevic picked up a red card as well. All around bad result for Crystal Palace. Probably, one of their worst games so far this year. Wolves got a deserved win. So next we have Man City beating Sheffield United. Man of the match I wanted to go with Ait Nori on his debut. Good goal, and I don't know. I feel like giving it to the debut guy when there's a lot of candidates for it. Goal down his debut. Good game by him. Next up we had Man City beating Sheffield 3-0, and this was a dominant game by Man City. Looking a little shaky towards the end, but they got it over the line. Oh, it's 1-0. The 3-0 was the Chelsea game. But overall, Sterling and De Bruyne are making a lot of chances. Sheffield really didn't have an answer for Raheem Sterling. He was just doing whatever he wanted until it got to the final pass or shot, but he was looking really good. De Bruyne was passing really well today. He was making a ton of chances, got the assist on a Kyle Walker shot. Walker, he had a really nice shot. He didn't celebrate against his old team, and he had a really good defensive header too that probably stopped a goal. So good job by him. Cancelo is he's really adapted to the left back position. He's looked very good, and Diaz and Laporte are looking like a very good partnership at the back. I think that Ferran Torres, he didn't score and he wasn't even looking that dangerous, but he can play the number 9 position, and that's something that City desperately needs. And aside from that, I think the only downside is I don't think Mahrez was having the best game. He's combining really well, but he couldn't get the final ball. But overall, it was a great game, really good game by City, I'd say. Sheffield did have a couple chances to really make something happen, but they didn't take advantage of it. So for Sheffield, there are a couple of positives. I think Ramsdale is making some good saves. John Egan had a couple of good defensive pieces, and Sander Berge looked really good today. He was making a lot of chances. He really should have had an assist on a great run he went on, and then they found Lundstrom, and Lundstrom just skied the shot. That's been a problem for this Sheffield team. Their midfield hasn't been able to score, and their strikers really haven't been doing much as well. I think that there are a couple players that really just don't belong on this team. I'd say that Baldock, Osborne, and Lowe have really been looking out of their depth this year, which is weird because Baldock was very good last season, but yeah, you really not been impressed by them at all. It's been a very bad look for the Sheffield team. Also, Ampadu did not have his best game. I'm honestly wondering if he should be playing center back right now. They have Enda Stevens there. The only thing I can think of is that he's a right-footed player. They already have Basham at the right center back position, but Stevens isn't getting forward much right now anyway. I would think that Ampadu would be able to get forward. He doesn't have a really bad left foot or anything. It's not like I think it's Valencia who's one of those really one-footed players. But, yeah, I'm not really sure why they wouldn't, put Ampadu at center back, put Stevens back at the wing back, and put in a Lundstrom or a Norwood in the midfield. It doesn't make the most sense to me. And honestly, I think right now you really might want to consider changing the formation because you're not getting a lot out of those fullbacks right now. And I think that they needs a bit more width in the attack. Maybe if they go to a 3 or a 5-2-3, maybe you get a Burke out on one of the wings. I think that Brewster or Sharp might be able to play the other. They really don't have any wingers on this team, which is kind of bad because it makes them play one-dimensionally, but I think that Brewster might have it in him to play on a wing. Sharp probably could. Then, but if they do stick with the two up top, I think that Brewster and McBurney is a pretty bad combination because McBurney did not have anything going today. I think they kicked it up to him 3 times. He might have won one of the balls, but that's all he did this entire game. McGoldrick's been getting involved. Burke's at least making things happen on the break. He got them a penalty once. I really think that they need to change up this attack, maybe change up the formation, get something going, because it's looking really bad for Sheffield right now. So on to the next game, and we have Chelsea man of the match, I think Kevin De Bruyne. Sterling had a really good game, Walker did well, but I think De Bruyne, he was making chances this entire time. He was looking really good today. Honestly, as he always does. Then we have Chelsea against Burnley, and going into this game, I said that Chelsea's going to have one of their attackers really step up, because this is going to be an organized Burnley defense. They're going to need somebody to make that breakthrough, and Hakeem Ziyech was that guy today. He had a great game. He had a very nice goal. He played a combination with Abraham, who was he was looking pretty good in his hold-up play today, and he was able to wrong foot Nick Pope in net. Really nice goal by him. He later set up Werner for the third. Really good performance by him. I think that their fullbacks, Reece James and Chilwell, were getting forward pretty well. The wind was so bad that all their crosses really weren't finding home, but you could really see how dangerous they are and how dangerous they would be in a really meaningful game under normal circumstances. I think that Havertz and Mount, they were looking pretty good. They were getting the ball forward well, looking very good, I think. And Werner did very well given the circumstances of coming on for Pulisic, who got injured again. I don't think it's bad enough that I think he'll be fine by the time the next international break is over, but he might mix next week's Champions League and Premier League games. But yeah, I think they did well defensively. They didn't let in a goal. I don't think Burnley had a real chance. Conte was doing well. Zuma got a goal for them. Zuma did have one tiny mistake, but that was pretty easily covered. It must be such a relief to have Mendy in goal for that Chelsea team. They have not had a really nice goalie since last season. Courtois was really on form for them. When was that, 2018, I think? But yeah, has to be a relief for Chelsea, and it was a great game by them. So then for Burnley, I think that there are some positives you can take. I think McNeil was looking all right. I said he needed to really be great today, and he wasn't, but you can see the positives in him. I think Jay Rodriguez was okay when he was going on, not what I would have expected from him. And I think Long and Taylor were defending pretty well, but that's about it that I can say for this game for Burnley. It was a pretty poor performance. I really think that Tarkowski and Nick Pope really need to step up because they've been making a lot of mistakes this year. And Pope has a really good chance to be the number one for England, but his distribution hasn't been good. He's been letting in some easy shots, and you have to wonder if he's going to be that guy. Not the greatest game by them. I really think the strikers need to start bringing something to the table because Wood and Barnes, again, really didn't have anything going today, and I think they do miss Cork in the midfield, but that's really about it. They need to get something figured out or this Burnley team's going to go down. Man of the match, as I mentioned, Hakeem Ziyech. Great performance by him for Chelsea. And last game of the day, we have Liverpool beating West Ham 2-1, and Liverpool, this really wasn't the greatest game by them, but it's a sign of a team that can win a championship if you can win these types of games. So to start off, they led an early goal. Joe Gomez was actually the center back who made the pretty big mistake. If it was Phillips, I think you'd kind of forgive him, but Gomez has got to be that guy right now for this team, and he can't be making those mistakes. I think that they had a couple of good positives. I think that Alisson was ready for anything. He didn't have to make any good saves, but he was ready. I think Trent probably had his best defensive performance of the year today. He was really stopping. He was winning his 1v1s. He was doing well in the air. This is a really good sign for him because defensively has always been the issue with him. But he was looking pretty good today against a pretty solid West Ham team. And Robertson was getting forward pretty well. Phillips wasn't a liability, as I mentioned. And I think Mane was playing really well in the final third. He didn't get the final ball off, but he was looking good. And when Shaqiri and Jota came on, they both did really well. And Salah was able to win and convert a penalty, but that was more on a mistake by Masuaku than him doing well. I do think that Gomez didn't do the best today. I'm not sure if starting Jones was the best idea, especially when Milner seemed ready, but hey, if you want to give him the experience, and they ended up winning the game, so had no harm by it. Overall, not the best game by Liverpool, but given the circumstances with all their injuries and, how well I think this is like a type of game that showed they have a championship mentality this year. And that's something positive that you can take away from this game. So for West Ham, it's a tough loss. They conceded kind of late. They had the lead, but I think that they have to be satisfied with how well they performed in this really rough stretch of the season. They're in 13th right now. I think that if you told any West Ham fan that they would be pretty clear out of the relegation zone after this stretch of, how many top 4 or top 8 teams did they play? Because they just had Wolves, Leicester, Man City, Tottenham, and now Liverpool. They have to be satisfied with winning a couple of those games, getting 8 points out of those 5 games. I think you're happy if you're a West Ham fan right now. Fornals did put in that goal. It was kind of given to him, but good job to convert it. Getting a goal past Alisson's pretty good on any circumstances. I think the problem was that he really dropped deep after the goal. I think that when you're against Liverpool, you have to, if you try to just hold them to a shutout, it's not going to work. This Liverpool team's got too much talent going forward, and eventually Salah was able to get that breakthrough. And I think that was the mistake this game. I think that they should have really gone push for two goals would probably be better than trying to stop Liverpool from scoring. Maybe if they do that, they lose by even more, but yeah, they lost anyway, so that's my thought. Masuaku, as I mentioned, had a pretty dumb foul, pretty bad mistake, and really didn't get much going forward. Hilaire really isn't looking good as a lone number 9. He might have to play in a 2 up top, or maybe he's just not good enough for the Premier League. I think that Bowen had a pretty bad game given the circumstances. He really could have gotten on the break a lot more. He wasn't getting that involved. I think that Rice and Souček were playing well. The defense were doing the best they could, but this is the Liverpool front 3. They were going to break through eventually. You can't hold that against them if you ask me. And overall, yeah, decent game by West Ham, and they'll definitely be happy to be done with this stretch of fixtures. So picking man of the match, it's kind of tough for this one. As I mentioned, Liverpool weren't the greatest today, but they were able to come through with the win. I think I'd give it to Diego Jota for this one. He was coming on. He made a couple of chances. He made a pretty big impact on this game. Great job by him, and overall, good win by Liverpool. Pretty fun Saturday and Friday games. The favorites did win, but they were pretty good games. Liked what I saw from a a lot of players like Sander Berge, he had a really good game, and Kevin De Bruyne's always awesome to watch. Yeah, that's about all I have to say. I'll see you.